What's up? What it do? How you doing? I am back with another video. Today, EandE family, I'm teaching you how to make calzone. Don't go nowhere. So we're gonna start with the crust first, and it's just your basic pizza crust recipe. So I'm using for this bread flour. If you're not familiar with what bread flour is, this is the particular brand that I'm using for bread flour. You can use regular flour. If you use regular flour, I would sift it out though. I'm not going to sift this today. So it's going to start with 2.5 cups of flour. Okay, so that's our 2.5 cups of flour. We're going to add a teaspoon of salt. Next, we're going to add a tablespoon of granulated sugar. And so I use olive oil in my crust as well. We're going to add olive oil to it. But I also like to use a little softened room temperature butter. Gives it, it just gives it a good flavor when you do that. So I'm going to take my stick of butter here. And I'm just going to cut up a few cubes to stick in there, because it's going to mix around in there. And then we're going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, so now get your attachment. You want to use a dough hook attachment for this. You can do this by hand as well. If you did, you're just going to use a regular bowl like this, and you'll have to work with your hands to get everything mixed in, but you definitely can do it by hand. But I'm using my Big Mama here, and I have my dough attachment on here. So I'm going to get this down in here, lock her in place, and I'm just going to let this mix around a little bit before we add our yeast. So next we have our yeast. This is 1 to 1.5 cups of 1 1/4 cups, of water. Warm water, not hot, not cold. It has to be warm because you don't want to kill the effectiveness of the yeast. And if the water is too cool, it won't poof. There is a teaspoon of sugar and 1 packet of yeast. The sugar helps the yeast to poof. So we're going to get this added in our dough. We're going to put our attachment back down in our mixer, and we're going to let this go for a little bit. We want to make sure that everything combines and that it looks stretchy when we're done. So let's start this up and go for about 2 minutes, and then we'll check it. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes, and this is what our dough looks like. So we're going to let this go, because typically, if you're doing this by hand, you're going to take it out your bowl and you're going to knead the dough. We're going to let it knead in our mixer, so we're going to let it knead for another 2 minutes. That's a perfect dough. Absolute perfection. So next, we're going to get it added to our bowl. So we're just going to add some olive oil to our bowl. You want to be a little generous with it, like that. And then just try not to spill it on yourself. And then just take your bowl and swish the olive oil around so it spreads evenly, like that. And so our dough, this is what our dough looks like. This is absolute perfection right here, y'all. I mean, it don't get no better than this with a pizza dough. Absolute perfection. Okay, so we're going to get this down in our greased bowl. And I like to take it and twirl it around like this. Get it kind of all coated. I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap. Then over top of the plastic wrap, I'm going to put a towel over it. We're going to let this rise for about 40 minutes to an hour. When we come back, we're going to get started on our homemade pizza sauce. Don't go nowhere. So for our sauce, we're going to start with some cans of tomato paste. I wasn't sure how many cans I would need. Looks like just one. I opened 2. That's okay. We're going to add a little tomato paste because I don't want the sauce to be too runny, but I don't want it to be too thick either. So a little tomato paste. And I'm going to add a little bit more tomato sauce just to make sure I have enough pizza sauce. Okay. So next we're going to season. So we got garlic powder. We've got some black pepper. Onion powder, paprika, oregano, rosemary, Italian seasoning, crushed red pepper. You could omit the crushed red pepper if you don't want this a little spice, but I'm adding crushed red pepper. A little salt. And we're going to add about a couple tablespoons of sugar. You don't have to add this part either, but it helps to kind of bring all of these spices together. So I'm going to take my whisk and whisk this around. And I'm going to get a spoon. I know it might seem pointless, but I just want to make sure I added enough seasoning to it. Get my spoon and do a little taste test. Oh, that's absolutely perfect. It don't need nothing else. Perfection. So, I'm going to put my lid on. We're going to let this cook. Not really cook, more like simmer. For about 20 to 25 minutes. We want to make sure that all those seasonings get well incorporated into our sauce. We have our pizza dough back here, which is currently rising. And when we come back, we're going to start adding our toppings inside of our calzones. You don't want to miss this, y'all. Don't go nowhere. Here's our pizza dough. It has more than doubled in size. So we're going to get it turned out onto our board. Take a little flour, put a little flour down so your pizza dough doesn't stick. Like this. I just like to spread the flour out a little bit. Okay. Now, let's turn our dough out onto our board. Like that, like so. Oh. Down there. And just start working it like that. Put a little more flour on there if you need to. I'm going to put a little bit more flour on my board. Okay. Like that. Now I'm going to take my rolling pin. I think I got a little flour left. And I'm just going to gently roll this out a little. Because I don't want it too thin. I don't want it too thick. So I'm going to do a little roll. And hopefully everyone can see this. Just like that. I just want to cut this so I can, you know, I'm not doing the whole thing as a calzone. Because we're going to make two different kinds. So I'm just going to try to cut this evenly down the middle, like that. Just like that. Simple and easy, right? Right. So, let's get our sauce. This is our homemade pizza sauce that we made. Give it a little stir, quick stir. Smells absolutely amazing. Okay, so for this first one, we're gonna get some sauce down like this. So next I'm gonna add some cheese. And this, I'm actually using a lasagna cheese. It's a mixture of different cheeses. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't tell you what the cheeses are. But it's good. So we're gonna get some cheese down like that. So next, I have some chopped up bell pepper. I'm gonna put that down. Next, I have some sliced black olives. And then we're gonna add our pepperoni. You can add pepperoni. You can add pepperoni and sausage. You can, if you don't eat pepperoni, you can do turkey pepperoni. You can do chicken. It's so many varieties. You could do all vegetable. So many things you can do with this calzone. Let's see if I made this too full. Hopefully I didn't. So I'm just going to take my dough over like this. Fold it over. Try to get it edge to edge. And then I'm going to just go around and fold the edges up like that. To seal it. Now, let's make our second one. So, the set's falling apart over here, y'all. Okay, so for the second one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add a little sauce, our cheese, and for this one, we're just doing pepperoni. Let's fold her over. We probably got too much stuff in here, but that's okay. So I just have a little butter and olive oil, and I add a little garlic powder to it. Smells amazing. To brush onto the top of these. Take a knife, and so this can breathe, slit a little hole in the top. And that's it. We just made calzones. I'm going to put these in a 380-degree oven. They are going to cook for about 20 minutes. We want them to get nice and golden and brown. We want to make sure that dough is done. So in a 380-degree oven, 20 to 25 minutes, just to make sure that the thicker parts of the dough around the edges are done. And when we come back, y'all know what's going to happen. We're going to get a taste of these calzones. You don't want to miss this, y'all. Don't go nowhere. Our calzone is now complete. Look at it, look at it. We got some, I put a little bit of the pizza sauce in a container in case I need to dip. But this is the one with the peppers and the black olives. And then this is the one with just the pepperoni. Let's go ahead and dive in and get a taste. I'm going to taste it without dipping it in any extra sauce first. Oh, I like that. I was a little nervous. I didn't know if I was going to like it or if it was going to be too doughy, too thick. That is good. I want to taste the pepperoni though. So I'm going to take a piece off of the pepperoni. That. Dip it. That homemade sauce is really good. All the spices. You have the cheese, the pepperoni, and this one you have the vegetables. Really good. Try this out. Try this out with your family, your friends. You're going to like this. If you don't want to make your own pizza dough, you can go to any of your local pizza shops and ask them for some pizza dough. Go home, roll it out, and make you some calzones. Simple, easy, quick, and cost effective. As I always tell you, EandE family, I promise you, they will not be disappointed. That's it for today, EandE family. Like, share, comment on this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so that you can be notified when a new video is uploaded. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The links are in the description box below. And as always, EandE family, don't forget to live a little and love a lot. Y'all be easy. I'm about to enjoy the fruits of my labor, y'all. This is yummy. Yep. Bye, y'all.